Hello, my name is Kelly Weddington, and I am an orchestra and mariachi teacher from El Paso, Texas. I am currently on my 19th year of teaching. I received my undergrad in music education from the University of Texas at El Paso and my master's in performance from the University of New Mexico. I've been using MakeMusic Cloud in my classroom for the past 15 years. I've used it at the elementary, high school, and middle school level, so it's been helping to engage all levels. So in today's webinar, I hope you guys can get a few tricks and tools to help enhance and engage your students more. So today we're going to talk about bridging the rehearsal gap, connecting the classroom to at-home practice. On the agenda, I'm going to be discussing effective rehearsal strategies, engaging classroom games, parent notification emails, analytical page insights, and at-home practice tips. And in case you're wondering, that is me dressed as a shark with my students going through the Meg 2 Foundation series. And we'll get more into that a little bit later. So for the first part, we're going to talk about the different ways to use in a classroom setting. The top ways that I use it is the play along feature, the record, the loop feature, which by far is one of my favorites, and to help differentiate small group instructions. All right, for the first feature, we have the play along track. So when we first start learning a piece, we will sight read through it first. So the kids practice their sight reading skills. And then as we're learning section by section, we'll use the track to play along with. When we first start, I'll turn the volume a little higher to give them more guidance. As they get stronger on their music, I will lower the volume. I'll lower the background track with it as well. And sometimes they just play with just the clicker on. And then they can stop and they can see, did they line up with the music? Did they stop at the right time if they lost a beat or gained a beat somewhere along the ways? It's a great visual. So with it, I will also emphasize a part as needed. I am the only orchestra director at my school. So I will emphasize if my cellos need help and the violins need help or the violas need help, I will put their part on the screen. I will emphasize it, make it a little bit louder so they have the audio they can listen to like their rhythms and what they're playing, and then I can play with another section, whether it be cello, basses, violins, to help them out. So it kind of gives me an extra set of hands on it as well. I also really stress to the kids about listening to each other's part. They need to know, you guys already know that they need to know every part to be successful. So I'll put the cello part on and have the violins play with only the cello part, making them listen more with it coming out loud through the speakers, and then I'll probe the questions of what lined up, what do you have together, what was different, to start making them analyze the music a little more and become more aware of what's being played. On the rhythmically hard sections, I've had them shadow bow. So, and then have them play along with smart music. And while they're doing that, I will tell them like, oh, it's piano. So there'll be mimic the motion. It's forte, lots of bow. So I have a mimic go through the motions of what they're going to be doing when they actually play. So that helps the transition of them playing for that. Another great thing that's come out this year by Brian Baldimich is the Foundation series. If you haven't checked them out already, you guys really need to check those out. They're good for band and orchestra. And it's a great and fun way to work the basic fundamental skills with your students. He did the Meg Foundation. He did the Spooky Foundation, a Christmas one. And I actually used that for my Christmas concert with my beginners. And the parents loved it. My parent night last week, all the beginning parents were just saying how great the concert was, because they were playing simple melodies, but they had the background to the movies of like the Polar Express, Harry Potter, Elf, stuff the parents are familiar with, and made them sound like bigger and better. So it was a lot of fun, and the kids had fun playing that stuff as well because it was familiar for them too. So what I'm going to show you guys right now is that is me dressed as a shark. It was our high school homecoming week. It was Beaks Accessory Day. And I thought, what best accessory to the beach than a shark? So I actually got the fine arts team. We all dressed up as sharks, running around the school all day, teaching our classes as sharks. The kids absolutely loved it. I had, a couple kids tell me That's the moment they really got hooked on the class, that they knew this is what they wanted to do for the next 3 years. That they got dumped there. They didn't pick it. There was nowhere else to put them. So they got put in my class and they're loving it, doing these little bit of extras. So here's a little clip of the Make Foundations with my beginners. So the kids had a lot of fun with that. That's all we did for the day, was just work on foundations. And, I even had kids go home that they wanted to practice with it, that they were just excited about it. So that was a fun lesson that we had. So don't be afraid to think outside of the box with your students. The next one I like to do with them is the record feature. Not only do they record their playing test, but I will start recording them as a class first. So I always have the screen up and I show them, this is how you record, this is what you do, and after we record, this is what we listen back. Did we like it? Did we not? What was good? What was bad? And make them analyze it. So when they start doing their own assignments at home, their test grades, they're already being trained on what to do. And they start doing that more and more. So I'll record them first with the background track to give them that help. I'll like turn it down. Eventually, they're going to record with just the metronome. So it's 100% them. We'll make a contest out of it because, the kids nowadays love to play games. We'll record each section. The one with the least mistakes can win like a sticker, a pencil, or maybe a piece of chocolate, a candy. We've recently gotten into the Bean Boozles from Harry Potter, where the losing team that makes the most mistake, they spin the wheel and they have to take the jelly bean. Of course, only the kids that want to take it, but secretly they all want to take it. So it's fun. Sometimes the kids will be goofy and they'll mess up on purpose because they just want to take one of the jelly beans. But it just gives a fun, because then they're just talking about what they did, how they can improve with it as well. So the record feature has been very helpful. So here's a little clip of a different beginner class with them using the record feature. And if you look closely, you can see right here, early, and the smart music picks up that. So with it, that was open for discussion where the kids can visually now, they can visually see where the mistakes are happening. And the kids are right away, the violins were like, Miss, that was us. I came in early. And it's like, that's cool. I have the rule. If you're going to make a mistake, make it loud, make it proud. That's how we fix things, is through our mistakes. So they have the visualization to see this is what happens when we're not together. And then we'll play back the audio. Not only can they see it, but they're able to hear it. And it's just making them more aware of their surroundings. So the record feature has been very beneficial. The next feature is my favorite feature of all right now of the smart music. I actually learned this from Rachel during the Connect training they had this summer. So the loop feature, you can set certain sections on the music. And if you want them to learn like 4 bars, you can set bars 1 through 4, and smart music will continuously just keep looping it. This gives you a chance that you can step off the podium. You can go one by one, work sections while everyone's actively engaged. The cool feature that I learned was you can increase the tempo with each time that you run through it. So that was very exciting, that the kids have fun. We'll make it a contest between the classes, just with the class to see how fast they can go. And the kids have a lot of fun because they want to play fast. They want to go faster. So I've even have kids at home go home and tell me, Miss, I practiced with the loop, so I'm ready. We're going to increase our tempo today. And I always, when I set the stuff up, I always have it on the screen. I set it up to show the kids, this is how I'm going to set up the loop feature for you guys. So this is what you guys need to do. So here's a little example of one of the beginner classes playing. And it clicks off in between. To go a little faster. So now they're challenged for it to be set a little faster. Zooming in, you guys can see the tempo. Then started at 71 exercise, and we got it all the way up to 80. So this has been a great resource to get me off the podium, more interactions where I can go one-on-one with the kids without singing them out with the whole class because everyone is playing at that time. So the next thing we have is the small group instruction. I know at my school, scheduling can be difficult with all the classes the kids have to take. So sometimes I'll end up with beginners and intermediates together, or I'll end up with my honors and intermediate. I'll have an honors kid stuck in a beginner's class. So this helps to differentiate the instruction, but also you can use this to help divide the kids up if you have kids with accommodations. So you can teach at a slower pace without calling them out in class because, especially those kids, you're playing, everyone's getting it. You have that 1, 2 kids that are struggling, because the pace is too fast, but they don't want to say anything because everyone else in the class is getting it. So this is an activity I've done in class with me present. I've also done this activity with a substitute, and it's been very successful. The kids are divided into small groups. I assign them an excerpt of their music when they make music class, and I have them record a video in their small groups. So you can kind of see I have a group here, there's a group here, there's one right over here. And on the other side of the room, I have groups, and they record, they use one device. And because of the mixed instruments, the kids, they're learning that it's going to mark stuff wrong. They're going to get a bad score on it because if it's on the violin part and the cello's playing, it's going to pick up the cello notes. But with this, they're listening to the recording, their playback. They're listening to how they sound, and they're starting to become critical of their own performance, where they don't want to submit a bad assignment, where they're like, oh, this one wasn't as good, or you know what, this was a good take. And it's great because when they record, the program saves all the takes, and at the end, they can submit the last take. They can pick their best take that they want to submit with it. So on this day, I had the kids working in the groups, and I had a student, with accommodation. I had another one that had a broken arm for a month, another one with a broken viola for a month. So they were behind. So I was able to have the other kids engage actively rehearsing themselves as beginners. And I was able to step in and work at a slower pace to help these students out to help them get successful. I know one of the kids was very thankful for this and said it helped tremendously. I noticed the next day in class, she was sitting a little higher because she was caught up. She was playing along with the class. She wasn't behind. So this really helps, where you can accommodate to all students with what you're doing. Even when you do the groups, you can accommodate the level, that speed you want them to play out. And I'm going to get into more of that a little bit later on into the webinar. So that's been one of my new profound findings of the program that has been a game changer for myself. So here is a clip of one of the projects that the kids were doing while everything else was going on. You're going to hear the quality of the recording. They've really upped their game with the recording, with kids recording near each other. You can hear in the background, but it's doing a good job assessing them. With this group, they had the violin, viola, cello, and bass. No bass, sorry. They had all the instruments but the bass. So as they were playing, they would record and they would huddle, they would listen to it, and they were realizing like, no, we want to make a perfect score. And they record many times and they got the perfect score. right there, a little bit on the rest that they, did. You can see they set up, the camera angle is geared towards one person, but they kind of got it, the just with it. So here's a little, you can hear the feedback. So you can hear on the rest when they weren't actively playing, you can hear the kids in the other part of the room, but the speakers weren't picking them up, which is great. And our kids have very old Lenovo and Dell computers that they've had since elementary school. So they're probably about COVID time. They're pretty old. So it does good with picking up the audio with it as well. So that's a fun activity that we've done with it. Now we're going to talk about engaging games in the classroom. I know you've heard me a lot speak about it. I play a lot of games with the kids. We're in the age where the kids love to play video games. They play games, they're on their phone. It's just another aspect. So I use different aspects of the program to help out with the games. Like we're do Orchestra Karaoke. Orchestras Inc. is a new game that we just started to play. Red Light, Green Light is another game that we've played that we started to recently play with the kids. So talking about Orchestra Karaoke, I'll use the program. I'll show you guys a little bit about setting up this new sight reading aspect of the program, which is amazing. It's how to make it fun. You tell the kids we're going to sight read, we're getting ready for contest. You got to make it fun. You got to get them to buy into the program. So before the class begins, I'll set up the criteria of what level I want them to sight read at. I'll greet the students at the door. I'll even try to pump them up. I'll greet them with a microphone. I'll set a mic up in the room for the setup when they do this. So they have like a mic. I'll put it in front of them, have it plugged into, the speaker sound system that I have for the mariachi program. And, just getting them excited about it. I'll have them play as a big group to start, and then I'll have them play like in individual groups. And, on the sight reading days, I'll let the kids do free seating. So they're going to sit with whoever they want. They can form their own groups. And it's getting them used to listening to what cellos are playing if they're a violin, and they're starting to listen to other aspects of the program. I'll ask volunteers to sing a solo, which means they're going to play it on their instrument, whether it's a cello bass, or they can do a duet. And I'll give like candy stickers as rewards for the kids going by themselves. A lot of kids that would never play out by themselves are starting to want to stand up and play in front of the mic and sight read, and they're having a lot of fun. Or even turn the lights off in the room, put the LED lights on so the screen is on. So it just gives them that fun atmosphere about it. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit about the building the sight reading. So when you set up the sight reading, we can do a whole session just on the sight reading program with it. You can assign it as a test grade, which is great because you send it to the kids and the kids all get different examples. So it's not like they can text each other and say, hey, this is what my screen looked like. Their test is going to come up different than the other students. Again, they get 45 seconds to study it. You decide how long you want them to study it. If they don't feel like they didn't do well, they want to re-record it. Once they hit re-record, it will generate a new example for them. So they're not just reading it twice, 4 times through. You're getting an assessment of them actually sight reading. So like you can go here with your group setup. You can set up string orchestra. You can even change it. If you only want to have one violin part to start off with, you can set it up. They have the presets where it tells you what the time is and you can set. And if you're like, I want to do these presets, but I don't want eighth notes, you can remove the eighth notes and it takes the 4 groups of eighth notes, only has the 2 groups. Or you're like, I don't want single, I want the 4. It's changing right in front of you with what you want to do. You can set your keys. You can change the range. So this is one way. If your bass, you're stuck with a bass with a beginner, you actually can go in and change and shorten the range so the bass part can be a little easier than the violin parts. You can make them go higher with it as well. You can set your tempo, what markings you want, how many measures you want. I'll start my kids off on 4. My beginners, I'll start them on 4, 8 measures. I can start them on just D and A notes. So they start sight reading from the very beginning with it. So it's not foreign concept to them. And it's helping them read music because they know they can't write the note names in. Up here, you can go here to your rhythm, your interval scale degrees. You can say what scale degrees you want to see. Do you want to see any fourths in there? What leaps you want them to step by? Expression, you can add dynamics. So, I'll do like the extreme with my kids to get them started on the very extreme with the piano fortissimo. I want to refresh it. And it starts showing dynamics up. You can add hairpins in there with, the different levels that you want for the kids to see. Musicality, you can go to rhythm, melodic. This is a bunch of stuff that I will use for high school. You can get the presets, harmonic options. Do you want 1 chord for measure? You want 2 chords? So it really dived in deep with it. So this is a great tool that you also can use with, the high school as well. You can go to the rhythm if you want it to swing. If you work in jazz, to have them practice swings. You can have them do unison. You can have them do major minor chords. And then you start seeing the part harmonies. So I start them off in unison, and then I'll start doing the part harmonies with them so they get used to hearing it. So we do the karaoke a lot, and the kids are always asking, Miss, can we do orchestra karaoke today? And a lot of times we start the first 5 minutes of class. Part of our warm up is with the sight reading, and we just call it orchestra karaoke, and they just buy into it. So here you have the view. You can go to the beta, which launches the ensemble mode that puts it up on the screen. Right over here, you can put how many seconds you want them to study it. So we say 5 seconds. This is very important. This is a count off. It's actually measures, not beats. So you want to make sure if you only want 1 measure to count off with it instead of how many beats you want to count off with it. And then you can change the cursor on. You can put the metronome on for them. You can have the background playing. So if you hit play, it gives them the countdown and it counts them off. And for that, you do have to have the metronome on. Otherwise, they're just going to visually see the flashing for it. You hit the refresh button and a new excerpt's going to pop up. You can even have the audio on to help them out with it as well. So this has been a fun tool for my kids. And it does have that MIDI sound, but it does illustrate the dynamics. So the kids can start hearing the softs to the louds as well. So we do this as a game, but we also incorporate it sometimes into our warm-up, getting into the contest season. After we do our long tones, our finger patterns, our scales, we'll do 5-10 minutes of sight reading, and I just generate, and I do short little exercises, and then eventually I'll do longer exercises as well, but that way they're sight reading. My beginners use this, so they're sight reading from almost day 1. I have them sight reading. So by the time I get them in the varsity and the honors class, they already are building these skills for sight reading as well. Oh, as we call it, orchestra karaoke. So hopefully that can help enhance your program. So the next game up we have is a newer game that we actually just started playing. It's called Orchestra Inc. And it's based off of the Disney cartoon Monsters Inc. So this game, I actually purchased it from Teachers Pay Teachers from the orchestra classroom. With it, the students will divide up into groups. Right now, I have them divided into each section. And they're going to pick various doors and they're going to complete the challenges behind the doors. So if they win the challenge, they get 1 point for a dare. If they're unsuccessful, they get -1 point for a scare. So that is me. I did wear my Soli onesie that day to make it a little more fun for them. They know when we have game days, they're kind of already used to knowing what to expect from me. I greeted them at the door. I had the Monsters Inc. Theme playing in the background. So as they were coming in, I was like, "Are you guys ready to get your scare on? You're gonna make us laugh." Just trying to get them pumped up for the game. And then we got tuned, divided up, and we started a game. So here's a little clip about the game, so you can see a little bit of the game in action.
Five? Five? Five. What is number 5 hold? I can't see over my notes. Number 5. Play and play and play. Velocity without getting lost measures 1 through 17. And it will be on the screen for you guys. Measures 1 through 17. You're welcome to use the screen if you like.
And you're going to see the majority of them, the violas actually do look up at the screen.
So you pick door number 8. Focus game. Play and don't get lost without getting distracted on Camelot 1 through 9. So the other teams get to be little monsters in Monster Inc. and they get to distract you while you're playing.
Yeah, I almost got them go off focus. They were very close, but they kept their focus going. So the violas did good on that.
Right. Sight read 4 bars in MakeMusic Cloud.
So this is just a fun way we've used the program in the MakeMusic Cloud. And the next slide, if you want to, you ever want to try this game, it's fun. The different challenges we had, like to perform the Camelot quest with all the correct notes. So they were recorded and they couldn't have any red on the screen. Everything had to be 100% green. They had to clap the rhythms with velocity, sight read the 4 bars, play. That's what we talked about earlier in the play along, to play the music with another part playing. So the violin part will play, and then the cellos have to play on top of that. Play velocity without getting lost. The dare challenge, this was the favorite because we've only been on our music about 3 days. So this will be a great activity to really fine tune the stuff. We played at Temple. So all the other teams were bummed that they didn't get that door because it was a lot of fun. And then like to play and stop on time with the conductor. So when I stop, they have to stop. Otherwise, they lost their point. And then the focus game. So just another fun aspect of MakeMusic Cloud using it in the classroom. The next one is the red light, green light. And I use this one in 2 different ways. One is to increase the listening skills. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of kids, they go in a bubble. They're not listening. They're not aware of their surroundings. They get their head stuck in the music. So I'll use the MakeMusic Cloud and I will stop it randomly and they have to stop. If they don't stop playing, they keep playing. That means they're out and they sit out and then the group and then the winner will win like a prize. Normally like candy, a sticker, a pencil, and the kids have a lot of fun. Sometimes the kids that are out, I'll let them be the ones to stop the computer with it as well. There'll be times like I don't stop with it, so I will be out. So the kids don't have a conductor anymore. And the kids, they have a lot of fun with it. We do use it to improve their watching skills. So as I'm conducting, like the easy level, I'll do like a huge like motion, like to stop, like make it huge for the kids to follow. And then as they get more advanced, I just kind of stop, and the kids. So this has really helped the kids with their skills of looking up, listening. It's really helped a lot of it, as well with the. So that's just a couple of the games that we play. Next up, we're going to go over a new feature that just dropped this semester that is actually very helpful for parents. Is the parent email and the practice analytical pages. So I have a lot of parents asking how they can help support their children and their growth in their music. They don't play an instrument. And this is one way they can do is sign up to get a notification once a week, every Friday, with a progress report of all the kids have done in the program. So I'm going to share that with you guys right now. So I did get permissions from one of my students' parents to sign up as their parent to see what this parent email, what they were going to be sending out to the parents so I can educate parents on it. So this is stuff that they're going to receive, telling them that Santiago had a great week. Their practice streak, how many days they were active on the program, activity time. They spent recording or listening to pieces of music on the site, and it gives little hints that they should aim for 50 minutes per week to help get better, results. And it lets them know what upcoming assignments they have due. He has no late assignments. So if a kid has a late assignment, it's going to let them know it's late or they didn't turn it in. And it tells them the top music they explore out of the 15,000 plus premium titles of what he started to look through on his own. So this is going to be a great resource to help get parents involved. So the next part is the analytical page. This is going to show the time that the students are spent playing or recording on certain dates with it. One thing I do want to add, a helpful tip, is it does only track the time that they are actively using the program by hitting the record button to get back assessment and feedback through the program. If the kid just hits play, it's not going to track their time with it. So it gives, how long they spent, the class average, how long they explore, and you have a chart. And I know administration, they love the data chart. My principal, when I can pull up data, I can tell them this kid hasn't practiced. They haven't met the expectation of the class. When it comes time, if kids are going to go to competition to see who's going to qualify, this has been a resource because it puts in the perspective that the administration can understand and also the parents. You can screenshot this and send it to the parents to say this is what your kid has done with the program so far to help encourage them to get better. The next topic we're going to discuss is the at-home practice test and assignments. So during this segment, I'm going to show you a little bit of what the gradebook looks like and a quick run through about setting up assignments. The other thing that's fun is the exploration for the kids, where I'll give them an assignment at home and they have their music they're working on, but sometimes I'll tell them, you know what, I want you to go to spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes on exploring the program. Pick a piece that you like, practice that piece, and they come back and they tell me what they picked, what they practiced. Sometimes, like in the Schoology page, I'll put an assignment up and they just have to put in there what piece they were working on. And the analytical page does show you when they do the exploration, so you can see that they are indeed exploring. I did hesitate for a while to do the created assignments with the program. I wasn't 100% sure how it worked, but now my kids are doing weekly assignments. A great tip I got from another music innovator in Chicago, George, was he has his kids record every night. He gives them 5-10 minute assignments for them to practice to do their assessment. And that's how he does like his practice logs. And it helps. Since my kids have been recording, it has made a difference in their playing. Their levels are higher. They're more in tune of what's going on in class. So a quick run through about setting up an assignment. You just go to the piece you would like. You can go to assign. Up here, you can retitle it. And I like to retitle mine because when they're all the same titles, it can get confusing. So if it's like playing test week 4, and I let the kids know what it is. Here you can give the instructions. I suggest giving detailed instructions. You want them to play, with less background track. You can actually turn that feature off. I'll show you that in a minute. You want them to submit a 90 or higher. I always tell my kids submit a 90 or higher, no less in the instructions, because they have to keep practicing it until they get the stuff right. You can give like the generic instructions. Here you can go to preview and customize. And this is cool because you can customize what part you want. You can set the bars and the tempo, exact tempo, any tempo. I give my kids exact tempos. because I want them all in the class. They're in multiple classes to be practicing the same tempo. So when they come together, it makes it a little bit easier with it. And you want the violins to test on one section, you can set everyone the same, or you can specify what section wants to play what part in the music. So it's pretty cool that you can differentiate within the music with how you want them to play. Down here, you can do submit a grade. You can do ungraded. This is something that you cannot change later. It does give a notice and the instructions saying that this is an ungraded assignment, but your teacher may require you to submit it. That's an automated message from MakeMusic Cloud. I always put a message on the side and the instructions, do not submit. And when I assign them as practice files as ungraded, I title it practice file and then the name of the piece. So the kids know that's what they use to practice with. You can set up your custom rubrics, so you can change how you want the grading to be. You can do the video recording. If you do video recording, I do put in the instructions in detail where I want the camera at their left hand. I want to see the bow hand. I give exact detail instructions of what I want it to look like. The cursor, I let the student pick what cursor they want to do. I highlight the measure for them. And you can allow them to record with the metronome, complement, or their part. When they start recording, like the beginners, I'll put their part on. They do get help from MakeMusic Cloud. It does help them get a higher grade, but they get excited and they realize how easy it is. They get more motivated. Over time, I'll take the my part off. I'll take even the complement off and keep just the metronome. So when it gets closer to the concert, the competitions, they're submitting with just the metronome. They can use the music on the screen, but it's 100% them. This is a great feature is the level. You can choose how easy you want them to be graded with the tolerance. I suggest starting on level 1, and as they progress, you can move up to 2, 3, and 4. You can move up to the higher levels. You also can differentiate levels when you assign it to kids. You can assign a kid, if you know they're working hard, but they're maybe struggling a little bit, you can assign them on a level 1, and you can assign other kids on a level 4 to make it more challenging to meet the needs of all your students. And then after that, you just hit next, and then you can put all the information comes up here. You put the date you want, if you want late assignments or not. And then you can pick the classes that you want to assign it to. If you don't want to assign it to the whole class, you can go through it and you can select the students. So they have them by instrument, which helps me when I'm assigning just all viola something. So you can go in and assign by the instrument. You can pick what students get what assignment. And once you hit assign, they get an email and a notification that they have an assignment waiting for them. Another peek in the grade book real quick with different test grades. I'll put them as daily grade test grades for them. I had like the titles, and you can see after a while that gets confusing. So that's when I started to change the titles for them. My students do weekly recordings for me. My beginners, varsity, I do give them class time so I can work with them on the recordings to help them out. And top students, my honors kids, they do record at home because they already have experience with the program. And you can see right here, I have the assignment. I had a couple kids. I had one kid miss the deadline. He didn't submit his test, spoke to parents, and I gave him an additional opportunity to make up the test right here. And he still didn't make up the test. He did not record his test, but you can see he's the only one who received a 0 because he's the only one that needed to complete the test. When they don't turn in the test, it does give you the screen, and it does leave a comment down here that it was graded 0 since there was no submission. And I will screenshot, send that to parents as well as documentations, like I opened it up, but they didn't record again. So that helps. I've had computer glitches with kids. They've had issues, and I've had them played live for me, and I'll make a note. I just go to edit. I can change the grade that they got live, and I put a note here, student played live, blah, blah, blah. So when we go back through the records, it's all documented in the grade book for them. So these are a couple of handouts that I use with my kids that I give them when they record their test in class and at home. I have them do like a little journal fill out of stuff that went good, went wrong. So like a reflection page, they put their name, the date, the period. They put what is something that you struggle with during your playing test. So that's a chance for them to say, oh, I had a hard time with this, or, my instrument didn't sound right. It didn't sound like it was in tune, like if they're recording at home, because I'm trying to make them start to become more aware of all of these stuff. And, what are the steps I'm going to take to improve, this excerpt? How are they going to fix it? What are they going to do to make it better? And how many times did they record? So I put that in, because I tell the kids it doesn't tell they can record 20 times, but, also to show them like they start to see like, oh, I did it 5 times and each time I got better. My score got higher. So when I do this in class, I'll have the students the last 10 minutes, we'll do the last recording, last 15 minutes, last 10 minutes, they'll fill out the reflection form and turn it in because I'm trying to get them to take more ownership. And this has helped guide them along the process of being more critical in their playing as well. So I have the test reflection project, and I do have the music performance project. That's when they work in the groups, like I showed earlier in the small group section. So this is something that they do. They fill out as a group and they are learning how to work together, how to fix problems together. And it's helped enhance the rehearsals quite a bit because now they're more aware of stuff going on around them. So these resources should be available for you guys to download. The thing I encourage the kids is exploration on the program. There is thousands of pieces out there. Wonka music came out for the new movie, video games, and sometimes on my assignments, I'll tell the kids, you know what? I don't want you to practice my music today. I want you to go explore for 10 minutes. Go find something fun on smart music to practice. And sometimes you'll see some days, their assignments, the grid is a little bit lower, exploration is higher, but I take that as a win because the kids went home, they took their instrument out and they practice, and when they practice, I'll be showing some other features at the very end. It tells them what the note name is, how to play it. Kids start learning their different patterns. I have a kid working on Wonka and she's looking at clicking on the notes. I tell them you have to click on the notes to make sure you're playing them right. We teach with colors. So I have my like red, my blue finger pattern. She had a high 3 and she was like, what color is this? And I tell, oh, that's yellow. So they already start learning the higher up with the exploration. And it encourages them to practice because it's stuff they want to practice and they want to play. So it just makes it fun for them. Other uses I use for smart music is I have a MakeMusic bingo. I'll show that on the next slide. And I do have that available for you guys to download with the webinar as well that you can use with your program. We do Orchestra Battleship, and they practice through MakeMusic Cloud to get ready. I tell them what the excerpts are going to be, and they use that for that. And then sometimes I'll let them play with the program, like with the beginners when they're using their one lines in the book. With as well, we do orchestra volleyball, the games of volleyball, but just playing our music back and forth. Same thing with the Super Bowl orchestra. We use the football rules and we have a big tournament playoff. They get little swag wristbands that, say they're their Super Bowl orchestra championships. So the kids, they really like it. They have a lot of fun. And, I use the program at home practice for these. We don't use those a lot in the game, but we use it at home as well with the various games. And we'll make an example of my MakeMusic bingo card that I've created with my kids to give them a chance to win fun prizes. Some as little as a sticker, candy. It's a lot they're due for a piece of candy. Bigger prizes. If they fill the entire card, I'll have a drawing at the end of the year of stuff I've accumulated over the year of like Bluetooth speakers or like a remote control BB-8, remote control Baby Yoda, because our theme this year is String-a-Lorian. So tying it into like the Star Wars and the Mandalorian stuff. So they have some of the free space. They get like create an assignment, submit an assignment. So a lot of kids have already done that, practice streak 5 days. So when I go in, I check the program and I see that they've practiced consecutively for 5 days and they know they need to be in there at least 10, 15 minutes, like the criteria set to them prior. I go in and I'll initial that space. That is it. When they favorite 5 pieces, I'll give them assignment, go find 5 pieces that you like and you guys can favorite. They'll show me when they're taking their test as they're recorded in class. I'll go around and check what did you guys like, to see what they're into. So there's a whole bunch of these, and these are going to be included as well for you guys to download along with the practice files, the reflection page for the group projects and the individual test. I do have a copy of those. These are stuff I've made through Canva, with it to get it. So they just have it in the front of the binder. And as they do stuff, I start signing off on their stuff for the end of the year. So they're having a lot of fun with it. One of the suggestions that a kid gave me was to record a video with a friend. So they want to do a video with a friend. So that was a pretty cool suggestion. So the kids are actually excited for that as well. So these are some last minute tips with it is, like when you're playing in class, just lower the volume of the background tracks, your part, the metronome, a swing feature. This is all the stuff the kids have access for. They can do the my takes assessment, how to change the tolerance. So the program is going to critique them harder or easier. The loop, the display, that's cool. They have the colorblind mode, a display, the cursor. You can change the way you look at things. I'm going to show you a little bit of what the program looks like. So up here we have our practice. We have our tracks. So you guys can play it. And I know I mentioned about you can make it louder and softer with how you want it emphasized. You can take it out all together, have just a clicker. You can change the beats right here. You can do the subdivisions if you're working on subdivisions with your students, which was a really cool feature that I used, which this isn't a jazz piece, but I used it for my jazz. I typed it up on Finale. I imported it, and it will swing the eighth notes. So especially learning jazz, that was very helpful. Oh, it would help if I put the part. So that can help reinforce when you're working on jazz. And I always put in my instructions and my detail instructions, don't forget to change the swing setting. So that way they remember to practice with it. You can go into your takes. So as you record, all your takes will come right up here. You can trash any if they're bad. You can download the audio file to save for later. So I've done that where I've downloaded so they can hear on this certain date, and then they can hear like a week later, like the compare and contrast. Does it sound better? Does it sound worse? Most of the time it's better, so they can get that. And then you have your assessment where you can have it off, or you can show the assessment, and you can have the tolerance. How do you want it in class? I'll start them off like with the beginners on easy intolerance. My help group is on the strict tolerance, because it's more picky about being precisely in tune and stuff like that. And the loop feature that we've talked about. So this is one of my favorite features of the program. So this one's a really cool feature. When you guys go in, you can set your measures, like you want to work on the first two measures, and you can do the count off in between. This is the feature I told you about, the BPMs. You can increase it, and you're going to notice you want to start them off. If they're playing it slower to start, you set the tempo, and when they play through. And it's already moved up to 89. It gets up to 91. So it helps the kids get in the repetition, speeding it up, makes it a little fun for them. And, I'll set goals like, okay, we're going to go from 80 to 90 or 120 to 130, and we're going to increase, but if we don't sound good, we're going to stop and practice on that tempo. So the kids like it. That's a really good feature. The display feature is really cool. They do have a colorblind mode. So you have any students that are colorblind, they can switch the mode to help them with that. You can have the measures highlighted. My kids like the measures highlighted. You can change your beat cursor. You can change the beat so it can be different ones. So it can be on the beat, a flow. You're trying to get them maybe to play more legato. It's not so on the beat. It has more of a flow to it on each note. challenge them with no cursor. So my kids have fun playing around with the cursor feature on it. So it's been a lot of fun with it. The last thing I would like to show you is just real quick, when you go to do an assignment, you can click, you can get a set of instructions. Here you can go and preview your instructions, and you can set it by all instruments the same, or you can go in with each instrument. If you want them to record different parts of the song, you can set up the parameter and you can give instructions that only the violas are going to see, only the cellos will see. So if you want them to do anything special, you guys can set up in there. You can save that. You can go here if you want it for a grade or without. A disclaimer, if you know, just say here, if you do it ungraded, you can't go back and change that later. It stays ungraded. It gives the students a message that says it is ungraded, but your teacher may have you recorded at some point. I always put a message, you know, of my own saying that do not submit. This is an ungraded. You can turn on the video, measure highlight. You can select the cursor. You know, how do you want the cursor to be? Or, you know, student can choose. And when they record, you can tell them how they allow it. If they try to put the feature on, like you tell them, no, your part can't be on, kids will be sneaky, try to put that on. It won't let them record. It tells them they need to default back to the teacher setting. So that's a really cool setting. And then here's the levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, that you can choose on the tolerance. So I use this to modify with my kids, the ones that, you know, need, you know, a little more encouraging. I'll have them go at a different level with it, as well as the top kids. They need more challenge. I can up the level with that. And then you can submit sight reading examples to them. You can give them 45 seconds. When you go to do the sight reading, you set up the parameter of what you want it to look like, and it sends it out to the kids, and the kids get different excerpts. If they record and it's bad and they're going to re-record to try to get a better grade to read it a second time, it gives them a brand new exercise. So when they record, it is a legit sight reading recording that they get. Or if you want to work just rhythms, you can set up your rhythm patterns and you have the kids clap rhythms if you're working on counting system. And I've done that with them where they clap and they count the rhythms out loud. So that's been very useful for my program. That brings us to the end of our webinar. I hope you guys were able to pick up some tools, tips that can help enhance your program the way MakeMusic Cloud has helped my program. So I want to thank you guys very much. And thank you and happy practicing.